What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Golden Weapon Reviews on BlackTideTV. Today we'll be taking a look at the XR-2 assault rifle. The XR-2 is a 3-round auto burst assault rifle unlocked early in the leveling process, making it a highly used weapon. Despite the 3-shot kill or 1 burst kill range being devastatingly long, the weapon is balanced with a slow fire rate, high kick, and potentially obstructive iron sight. Although it seems to be firing quite quickly, the XR-2 features enough time between bullet impacts to let enemies slip by after 1 or 2 hit markers. This, paired with an unorthodox side-to-side recoil pattern, makes long shots very hard to get in core game modes. On top of all of this, the XR-2 has poor hip-fire accuracy due to a wide cone and its burst fire nature. Now, it's not even been a minute into this Golden Weapon review, and we've already talked a lot of shit about the XR-2, so let's look over the redeeming quality of this weapon being the Auto Burst. Auto Burst is a new action type, all new to Call of Duty. We haven't seen it before Black Ops 3. It allows a burst fire weapon to automatically cycle bursts. Rather than timing trigger pulls to minimize burst delay, holding the trigger will actually allow this weapon to auto cycle in the fastest delay rate. So it's just going to keep firing out shots if you're holding down the trigger. This is all new to this game. It's only available in this game on the XR-2, on the 48 Dredge, and on the... There's definitely something else that has a burst, as an auto burst, but I can't even remember what that one was. But those are the three. There's no other ones in this game. The M8A7 is not an auto burst assault rifle, which is why this is the area where the XR-2 actually has a leg up on the M8A7, because it is very similar. It does have that burst fire action, but it's not auto burst, so you really have to time your burst on that one to get it right, which is just something else that your brain has to think about while you're using this weapon. Generally, you can't think of all these different things at the same time. When you're trying to aim, you're trying to move, you're trying to pull the trigger repeatedly and wait for the burst to go so you can fire the burst on time. If you don't time it correctly on a regular burst, when you pull the trigger and you haven't let the weapon kind of sit for long enough, if you pull the trigger again, the weapon won't have sat for long enough and it just won't fire your next burst. And that can be a pain when you're really in a panic. If there's somebody right in front of you and you're trying to panic shot a whole bunch of bursts out and you kind of screw up and then you start not firing bursts, it can be a huge problem. Where the XR-2 takes care of that. If you want to panic fire, if you want to get out as many shots as you can just hold down the trigger and let it do its own thing with the burst. All you have to do is aim the gun, which just makes this weapon incredibly easy to use. It's like I said, this auto burst fire rate, this auto burst action is something that we haven't seen in Call of Duty before, and this is actually the first gun in the Golden Weapon reviews that actually has this auto fire rate that I can cover, and it's just absolutely amazing. This is unreal how powerful this auto burst is. Now that we're all caught up on the ins and outs of the XR-2, how should we be using it? How do you want to use this weapon? Well, if I were to put statistics for this weapon on a line graph of effectiveness over range, the XR-2 would look pretty much like a mountain, saying like basically it's useless at short range unless you happen to be incredibly lucky that you get your 3 shots on target before somebody hoses you down with an SMG or shoots you with a shotgun or any other kind of assault rifle kills you, because it's just got that terrible hip fire. You really have to be on the ball if you're using this at close range. It's terrible at long ranges because of that very bad recoil, because of that obstructive iron sight, because of a whole host of factors. It's not very good at long range either. So it's really good at medium range, and that's about it. So once you get into those closer ranges, you're going to have a lot better luck with any other weapon basically in the whole game. When you get into those longer ranges, you're going to have a lot better luck with some semi-automatics or some sniper rifles. So you really just got to be using this weapon exclusively at medium range. Short, medium, and medium long ranges are okay as well. You can kind of get into those two little mid sections between short range and medium range, or medium range and long range. As long as you're sticking to the medium area of ranges, this weapon can be very effective. So what you're going to want to do is stick to Overwatch or defense positions over top of objectives if you're playing objective game modes. This is a very, very powerful objective game mode weapon. You can definitely just stare down a lane and completely block off an enemy assault. You can kind of patrol around an area as long as you're keeping to an area that has some half decent sight lines that aren't too long, that snipers are going to get you at the other end of those sight lines, and sight lines that don't have a lot of really tight corners so that enemies can't kind of rush you and get around the corner and shoot you before you can be prepared for them. If you do plan to use this weapon at closer ranges like that, definitely run Sixth Sense. That will definitely give you a leg up if there are shotguns or SMGs rushing you. You can definitely be ready for them around the tight corners, so that's just something to keep in mind, although that's not high on my list of recommendations for this weapon. So let's talk about those recommendations now, the specialists and attachments. As far as the class goes for this, basically you can kind of get a general idea from some of the other Golden Weapon reviews I've made. It's a defense kind of weapon, so you're going to want to use defensive perks such as Flak Jacket. You might want to use Ghost if you're going to patrol an area. Stuff like that. You're always going to want to use Blast Suppressor in this game no matter what, so that's a great one. Tactical Mask, of course. It's a defense weapon. Use some defensive stuff. Use some defensive equipment if you want as well. But really, you can run basically anything on your class with this. There's nothing really important to run in your class build. Now let's talk specialists. You'll likely want to use a close range specialist to deal with anyone attempting to rush your position. Like I said, if you're using this weapon in closer ranges where you have close, tight corners where SMGs and shotgun users are going to rush around the corner, you're going to want a specialist that can take care of those guys really easily because, like I said, this weapon is just terrible at hipfire. If you get into a hipfire gunshot war, you're definitely going to lose. And if you don't have the accuracy to aim in perfectly on an enemy and kill them instantly, then you're going to just die in close quarters anyways. So you just got to be ready to use specialist abilities at close range instead. So some of the specialists that work really well at close range are Heat Wave, that will give you enough time to kind of get your accuracy on point. Gravity Spikes, you can just completely massacre them if you have the time to pull out the gravity spikes. Ripper, of course, is probably the best one for close range engagements just because it's like a commando lunge knife that rarely fails. You're definitely just going to be able to slice and dice around corners and not even worry about it. Also, kinetic armor can definitely help. If you run around a corner and you're almost about to get killed, you can just shoot on that kinetic armor. It'll give you an extra second to get your aim on, just like the Heat Wave does. So those are your specialists that you probably want to use with this weapon. Close range is probably going to be your best bet. You could use longer range specialist if you want to attack enemies at longer ranges, such as the Tempest or the Sparrow. You could use those if you have more issue with attacking enemies at long range. But really, close range is what I'm figuring you guys are going to be playing with this weapon. You're going to be more close medium than you are going to be medium long, especially just because of that weird recoil pattern. Like, it's going to be hard to kill enemies at long range with this weapon. So you're probably going to stick to close to medium, which is why I'm recommending these specialists instead of the Tempest, Sparrow, etc. Now, as far as attachments go, let me first share with you the XR-2 Shredder, my golden variant, the one that you're seeing in this gameplay. The XR-2 Shredder has the ELO sight, the grip, and rapid fire. Now you can notice how I'm going after negative aspects of this gun directly. I'm going straight for that terrible iron sight. I mean, the iron sight isn't that bad if you're using it exclusively at medium range, but for longer ranges, the iron sight is just no good, so I'm going after that iron sight, going after that terrible recoil on this weapon, so I'm using the grip. I'm also using the rapid fire, so I'm actually speeding up that slower fire rate. Rapid fire, interestingly enough, does not affect burst fire weapons the same way that it affects any other weapon in the game. Other weapons in Call of Duty Black Ops 3, rapid fire will just directly influence how fast the weapon fires, whereas rapid fire on burst weapons in this game will actually make the burst delay shorter, and this weapon already has a pretty quick burst delay, so I'm actually increasing that burst delay, making it extremely fast. So when I have rapid fire on here, I can hold down the trigger and let the auto burst do its thing and spray down a ton of lead, and it's just really helpful when I'm in extended gunfights, when I'm in gunfights where the enemy has a fully automatic weapon or an SMG. This is just super helpful. Of course, you can always use different attachments to help out in different areas. You can use high caliber is a really great attachment. Quick draw is a great attachment for this weapon. Laser sight, I mean, you could use it if you wanted to hip fire this weapon a lot, if you were in those really close quarters engagements a lot, but I don't think you're really going to be needing laser sight. You shouldn't be really firing at people with hip fire anyways, so I just recommend that you stick to the attachments that I have given you on the shredder. That's about it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. Comment down below what you run on the XR-2. I want to know how you guys run it, what your golden variant is. Tell me in the comments down below. Also, while you're in the comments down below, I'm still looking for questions for a 750 subscriber special Q&A video. So make sure you leave your questions for me down there. They can be about the channel, they can be about my personal life, whatever you guys want. Let me know in the comment section down there. There will be a new Twitter poll for the next golden weapon review. Make sure you head over to @BlackTideTV on Twitter and vote in that poll for the next weapon that you want to see. That's about it. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow.